What it do, y'all? We black. We back and black with another video from the homie Maven ranking his WWE injuries. Damn, that sucks. I'll take a guess at the first, the main one that probably hurts. I'm thinking neck injury. These cats always get neck injuries. Damn, that must suck, bruh. Neck injury though. Oh my god, have y'all seen that new Vince McMahon documentary? I want to do a review on that too, but it's kind of self-explanatory, man. That thing is crazy, bro. It's good because it just gives a little bit of history of WWE, and I thought it was gonna be more of a hit piece, but the hit piece part, that shit only comes in like the last like 20 minutes of the whole show. It's ridiculous. David Shoemaker's he's a punk. He's a loser. He always trying to do extra shit. Just one of them tattletale. I don't know. I don't fuck with David Shoemaker. Anyways, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Let's see what the homie Maven got to talk about.
Was sponsored by Titan. Hey guys, Maven here. Now, even though WWE is scripted, I still suffered my fair share of injuries from 2001 through 2005. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the injuries I sustained during my time in WWE, from least painful to most painful. And no,
this is going to sound crazy, but I kind of want to gig myself. Damn, that just even sounds crazy. But in a match, I would like to gig myself. I wouldn't have nobody else do it, like how they be having other fools do it. No, I just don't know. I want to just see if it works. And then just, never mind.
breaking my leg on SmackDown was not the most painful one. The first injury I want to talk about happened early in my career and actually happened at a match none of you probably ever saw. During my time in HWA, Heartland Wrestling Association, WWE's developmental territory, we would go to Ohio Valley, the 2-hour trip to Kentucky, and we would film our television at OVW. Being that we were in OVW's backyard, Cornette had some say in the matches that we put forth. And I would find myself in the ring with a wrestling veteran, a guy who was teaching me at HWA, Jamie Noble. But it wasn't just any ordinary match. It was, in fact, a dog collar match. So why does this make the list? Remember, during this time, I'm still transitioning.
Greatest dog collar match ever. Raven versus CM Punk. Very young and early CM Punk, a Ring of Honor before CM Punk ever was in the WWE. It's a crucial ass match. Y'all should watch it.
From school teacher to the world of professional wrestling. You have to teach your body to take the bumps, bruises, and just the daily wear and tear that wrestling calls for. But this match would call for something completely different, something I had never done before. And I'm not judging anyone out there. Hey, if dog collars are your thing, so be it. I still remember during this time, every match I had, I was thinking so much and I was so nervous and I was terrified just about the wrestling aspect of what I was about to do. Add a dog collar into the mix, well, that's just adding on a whole element I wasn't prepared for. I'm not saying Jamie didn't take care of me. He did. He got me through the match. There was no way to gimmick or to fake having the dog collar on. When it was tugged, I was being pulled by my neck. And the dog collar, it was 100% real. Take yourself to Petco, where the pets go, get yourself a dog collar, put it on, and have someone yank you around with it and tell me how comfortable you are. And I would wear the pain from that dog collar on my neck for days and days afterwards. But as painful as it was, I knew by the end of that match, I had gained another guy's respect. And knowing that a veteran like Jamie Noble had helped get me through that match, it was worth every bit of the yanking and the pain that I had to endure. Now, injuries aside, there is something that we all can relate to, and that is the need to have a comfortable place to lay your head at the end of a long day. And the most important part is having the right mattress. That's why this video was sponsored by Titan.
Love you, Maven. I already got a mattress that I bought from Mattress Land. No.
And a simple maneuver, him coming off the rope. mattress. I highly recommend you give Titan a try. Next on the list, I would find myself with my first broken bone in my wrestling career. And it was on an episode of SmackDown. I would be in the ring with hardcore.
How many people have this cat, Hardcore Holly, has hurt? My God, I pray this nigga's a good dad, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, and I'm sure he's probably nice to his kids and nice to his wife, and I'm sure they live life and da-da, but like, yeah, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were assholes and this and that, but there's no one to ever say anything good about Hardcore Holly, bro. No one. No one's ever said nothing good. Like, yeah, he turned it off when we got to the back. Or he was kind of cool when we were on the road. Never. He was a dick on the road. He was a dick at hotel rooms. He was a dick at reception. He was a dick in catering. My goodness, bro. Like, nah, it just came to my mind because I've watched, man, y'all don't even know. I've watched hours upon hours of shoot. This is when shoot interviews first came out. I thought that was a very dope concept, you know what I mean? But, oh my God, Hardcore Holly, man.
Holly. And a simple maneuver, him coming off the ropes, me putting my foot up to stop him. And being the rookie that I was, as he was coming off the ropes, I had my hand in the wrong spot. And let's just say his weight coming down on my finger was not a good situation. The reason this injury makes the list is what happened afterwards. And I immediately knew something was wrong with my finger, but I didn't look at it immediately. I just wanted to get through the match. I knew if I looked at it, it wouldn't be a good issue. So I waited till the match was over, and as I was rolling out of the ring, then I saw what I was dealing with. And what I was dealing with was the bone of my ring finger sticking through the fingernail. Now, this was way more than the WWE training crew was equipped to deal with on the spot, but they immediately dressed the wound and made the proper plans to get the finger fixed. And that included flying the next day to New York, meeting with the New York Yankees physician, and I got to watch him actually fix my finger there on the spot. What they did was, for the not too squeamish out there, they gave me an injection to numb the entire hand, then removed the whole fingernail, placed it to the side, reattached the bone with some type of adhesive. Hell, they might have used crazy glue for all I know, and then placed the fingernail back on, sewed it up, and voila, I was ready to go. In fact, I didn't even go home from there. I flew from New York out to San Francisco for my next match with a new fingernail. The reason this makes the list, though, is because of the pain that I felt immediately after I rolled out of the ring. Again, when you're in the ring and an injury happens, you don't feel the full brunt of that injury due to adrenaline until after the match is over. But the moment the match was finished and I rolled out, every nerve ending in my body went to my finger. At this point in my life, I had never looked at any part of my body and seen an actual bone sticking out of any part. This was a first. It psychologically was unsettling, and obviously knowing that my fingernail was sticking out of the bone was not the place I wanted to find myself. It hurt. Ugh. Up until that point in my career, that was probably the worst pain I had ever experienced. And as painful as the finger was, it wasn't painful enough to make me stop and want to cry. But that one's coming. My next injury on the list wouldn't lead me to needing crutches, but would actually come from crutches. But let me explain. I would find myself in the ring after a match on Monday Night Raw, and down would come one of my childhood icons. But he wasn't coming to congratulate me on my match. He was coming for different reasons altogether. Ric Flair would come down to the ring with the assist of a crutch, but I would quickly find out that crutch, he didn't need it. He was gonna use that as a weapon, and that weapon was gonna be used on me, and particularly my back. Oh, if that looked painful to you, that's because it was. And if you think that the crutch was gimmicked, meaning not real, you're 100% wrong. That was a real metal crutch that Rick swung with a lot of his might against my back. And my back would carry that bruise for the better part of a week. Because if you're hitting someone with a crutch on live television, there's absolutely no way to fake it. Now, it did help a little bit knowing that before it happened, Rick told me I have to bring it. There's no way that I can not hit you as hard as I can. And I told him, bring it, I'll be ready. And I was, but I probably also wasn't at the same time. Now we're getting to the more serious injuries. And what do I mean by that? All the injuries I've discussed thus far, they left their mark. They hurt like the dickens, but none of them did extensive long-term damage. Well, all the injuries moving forward, I'm still feeling to this day in one way or another. For instance, my first WrestleMania, WrestleMania 18, Toronto Skydome versus a legend, Goldust. We had a spot early on in the match where on the outside, I would take a Beal into the barricade. What I didn't know is how my body was going to fold once it hit that barricade, and would probably be the beginning of what would become a lifelong back injury. But Maven, aren't the barricades padded? Not enough. The padding is strictly there to keep you from a bone bruise, to keep you from actually maybe breaking something, but it's not gonna stop your momentum. And momentum is what leads to a back injury or a lower back injury, which could lead to eventual disc and vertebrae deterioration. I sit right now with 3 herniated discs. And I have to be led to believe it all started that fateful night in Toronto. As soon as my body hit that barricade, I knew it had bent in a way it just wasn't designed to bend. And it didn't.
It looks normal. It looks normal. And gosh, I'm gonna sound old and probably out of shape as fuck, but I swear it has nothing to do with me being out of shape. But on my mama, I was dealing with a crazy back injury probably about 2 weeks ago because I literally just went like this. I think I was trying to like, hey, where's the remote? Oh, and I went like this, and I was like, oh shit, and I damn near couldn't walk for 2 days. It was the craziest shit ever, bruh. So I can see that little slight movement can fuck around and mess your back up.
Scare me initially,
and it
didn't necessarily hurt me initially. But remember, when you have the adrenaline, you're not gonna feel it until afterwards. And add the WrestleMania element onto that, I didn't feel that on my back until probably the next day. And it in no way, shape, or form was Goldust's fault. In fact, Dustin took as good a care of me that night as he possibly could have. It's just the cost of doing business. If you want to be in this business, if you want to be a wrestler at the highest level, those are the bumps you're just gonna have to suck up and take. Now, my next injury would come on a move I had taken many times before, but on this night, adrenaline would actually work against me. So let me set the scene for you. I find myself in the ring with Dave Bautista, a guy I'd wrestled many times before. But what would make this night special was in the front row was NBA legend LeBron James.
Oh
but
shit, that's an infamous.
At this point, LeBron was a rookie. No one knew the career he would have, but we all knew the hype that surrounded him. So everyone was probably a little more amped up than normal. And what truly made this night extra painful is it was a 2-part injury. At the end, I would find myself coming off the second rope for my Halo DDT, and Dave would catch me out of midair and deliver one of the most devastating clotheslines ever. And he had to. As my momentum's bringing me off the ropes, the only way to take me from a vertical to a horizontal position is Dave having to hit me. He has to lay it in, and he has to lay it in super stiff. And it was super stiff. But that wasn't the end. The end would actually come with his next move, his patented Batista bomb. He drove me down a little harder than he normally would and rotated me a little more than he normally would. And it was the only time I ever landed a move and had my extremities immediately go numb. And Dave recognized this because as he comes over to talk shit in my face, he's actually asking me if I'm okay. And at this point, I knew I was okay, but I was still a little bit scared. I could feel everything, but just not like I normally could at the end of a normal match. Now, as I got back through Gorilla, Dave was the first one to greet me, make sure I was okay, and actually took me to the training room to get me checked out, and everything was fine by this time. There was a few seconds after landing and feeling my arms kind of tingle up, and it was scary. It was not a fun feeling, and it showed me the seriousness of the career I had chosen for myself. Up until this point, all the injuries we've talked about hurt, but I could continue doing my job. This next injury on the list would find me home, recovering, having surgery for several months. It was a normal house show or non-televised event in Des Moines, Iowa. I was wrestling against Matt Hardy and coming off on a move I had done 1,000 times. A high cross body, Matt rolled out of the way, but on this night I would land wrong and actually land and completely shatter the bone in my elbow. Immediately upon landing, I knew something was wrong, but fortunately, as soon as I landed, I would come up and Matt would hit me with his finisher and the match was over. So I could easily finish that match. But my days on the road would come to an abrupt halt. Going backstage, I knew this wasn't an injury that was going to heal on its own. I could just tell with how immobile the arm was. And the next day when I showed the agents or producers that I couldn't move my arm, they immediately flew me home to my orthopedic surgeon. And as soon as he did the proper MRIs and x-rays, he could see the severity of exactly what I did. Now, in layman's terms, I basically shattered my elbow. And to this day, I can still feel it's almost like gravelly, just pieces floating around in it. Sometimes the worst injuries can happen in the most unusual ways, and this next injury would be a prime example of that. So I was in a match with Val Venus, another guy I wrestled 14 times, and came time for the finish. And Val was going to hit me with his finisher, the money shot, another move I had taken countless times before with no ill effect. But on this night, I wouldn't walk away injury-free. And it's probably not an injury that you're thinking of. As his body weight came down and landed on me, the bounce back of my head on the mat actually gave me my first recorded concussion. And I knew immediately that this was different than anything I had ever been through before. Everything went quiet and I had a fog in my brain. Imagine your body in that dream state right before you wake up, when your mind knows you're not 100% conscious. That's how I felt at that time. And I couldn't kick out of it. In fact, I flew home the next day, and on a normal day off, I would immediately land and run all my errands that I needed for the week. Anything that needed to be done, I would get it done as soon as I landed. On this trip home, I landed and went up to my bed and fell asleep until the nighttime. And even then, when I woke up, I just felt like I couldn't get out of that funk that my head was in. While I did recover and back on the road I went and felt fairly normal, it's still an injury I'm feeling to this day. And one thing that shows the difference from my time to now is 20 years ago, we didn't know the ongoing trauma that the brain can suffer. So when I went backstage, they simply told me, yeah, you knock the cobwebs off and move on. Whereas now, they take an injury like that seriously, and I'm glad they do. The next injury on my list would actually find me out of action for the longest period of time, and it would be when I broke my leg on SmackDown Wrestling Christian. Now, I've done a video on this, and I encourage you to watch it. But for those of you that haven't seen it, quick overview. I'm Wrestling Christian. About 30 seconds into the match, I go to do a baseball slide under his legs. My boot catches the canvas, folding my leg up, breaking my, I think, fibula, and tearing the ligaments and tendons in my ankle. I wouldn't feel the true pain from this until after the match. Once I was backstage, my foot, my leg had swollen so much you could no longer undo the laces. In fact, the trainers would have to use their scissors to cut my boot off. And you could immediately see that my leg was no doubt broken. So off to the hospital I went. Now, as painful as that injury was, and it took me off the road for an extended period of time, crying never entered my mind. For this next injury, it definitely did. So for the most painful injury I ever suffered, didn't even happen during a match. In fact, you would never even have recognized it, even if you were looking for it. So let me set the stage for you. The pre-show before the pay-per-view Vengeance would have Sunday Night Heat on it. And in the match, Tyson Tomko was wrestling Val Venus. Trish Stratus was in Tomko's corner. Nydia was in Val's corner. After Tomko beats Val Venus, he would find himself outside of the ring stalking Nydia. Nydia would then roll into the ring, and that's when I would come down. So I would find myself running down, sliding into the ring, clearing Tomko out, saving my Tough Enough co-winner, and riding off into the sunset, the hero of the day. So where did the injury take place? So as I'm in a full sprint going to save Nydia, the move called for my momentum to carry me into the ring, using that momentum to duck Tomko's first punch. To gain that momentum, I needed to be in a full sprint, and I was in a full sprint. Only problem was, as I go to slide into the ring, I squarely banged my knee on the side of the iron beam. Ouch. As hard as I ever have. The pain that went through my body, had I been by myself, would have crippled me over. I would have been writhing, screaming, possibly led to tears. But we all know, I was in an arena full of people. You can't cry. There's no crying in wrestling. So I had to play it off. But if you look close enough, you actually see me avoiding putting pressure on it at any time I can. You actually see me almost hopping around. What you don't see is the intense agony, the pain that is coursing through my body at that moment. The only saving grace I had was knowing once I got backstage, my night was over. But that would not be the end for that painful experience. To this day, I still cannot walk up steps and put full pressure on that knee. And it gives out on me from time to time. I don't know exactly what injury I did to it that night. It didn't take me off the road. In fact, I was out wrestling the next match. But, that pain. I can still remember standing in that ring, thousands of people cheering for me, and not a one of them knowing I was in the worst pain of my life. Now, all of these injuries were accidental, but some injuries are very deliberate. To find out what those are, click the link on screen.
Wow, great video by Maven. It kind of, damn, awkwardly, it rolls into the Vince McMahon shit I was saying earlier, the documentary, because I think on like the third or second episode, they were saying how the reason why a lot of foods were going to WCW is because instead of going working 300 days in WCW, you were literally working 130, maybe even less if you're Hogan and them. So, man, a lot of foods had to work hurt, and if once you showed Vince that you were hurt or something like that, forget taking you off the show, bro. You were literally gonna get your walking papers. So that was another knock on Vince, that people, they were trying to portray him as a bad person on the movie or whatever, or on the documentary or whatever. But man, another great video by Maven, man. Man, shout out to him, man. That damn, I could barely roll out of bed right now. I ain't play shit but soccer or whatever. So hey, man, give your boy subscribe. Shout out to Maven. Peace.